everybody, it's Marie here. I'm back with a process video for Peartree cut files. So just really quickly I will explain that this is therefore classed as a advertisement. So I'm using the Wild at Heart cut file, which is the freebie that's on the newsletter that's just come out. So hopefully you'll have received that in the last couple of days. I decided I wanted to use it with a kind of wintry theme. Because we've got so many, we've had snow, we had snow around for about a week, which I think this is the longest time I've ever known snow to hang around. So I knew I wanted to use some of my snowy pictures. Now I'm using the Kasiercraft, I'm not entirely sure what the collection is called. I just know it's one of Kasiercraft's most recent, and it's a Christmassy one, but it's a wintry Christmassy one. So all the papers are blues and silvers, and loads of them have got foil on. They're absolutely stunning. So I knew I wanted to use some of those, and I wanted to go for a really soft, kind of dreamy, soft look to it. So I've ripped the top off the white cardstock, as you can see there. And then I took a piece of that blue foiled paper to make it back up to 12 by 12, and then I'm tucking in a piece of another foiled piece with little leaves on in blues and golds and beiges. Now I do start by using that blending brush with a Distress Oxide in pumice stone. I then realised that it just actually ended up looking a little bit mucky up at the top there, and I loved the torn effect, but I didn't want it to look kind of mucky torn. I wanted it to look pretty torn. So I faff around for a bit, and then in the end I do decide to change the colour completely and go for a blue instead. And instead of inking up on that torn edge, I'm going to do some inking behind my cut file, which I am going to back. So I do try here to roll it over and kind of hide that inking that I did, and then I realised actually I really don't like the colour I've kind of been left with, so I just decided to tear a bit more paper off. So that kind of gets rid of that. Then I do a couple of little tears there, so it's all kind of just stuck in nicely with some double-sided sticky. Then I'm going to just start playing around with a little bit of the ephemera now. I've picked out the ephemera that's going to work. Like I said, this is a Christmassy, wintry collection. And a lot of the ephemera is baubles, and it's got the words Christmas and things on it, so I couldn't use a lot of that because this wasn't Christmas, this was taken in February. The photograph was taken in February, so I wanted to make sure it was right, if you know what I mean. So I'm using more of that blue scripty paper. This is out of the 6x6 pad, which I got as well, because I only got one sheet of each of the 12 by 12, so I got the 6x6 pad so that I could use those bits to back cut files and to map my photographs on and things like that. So I decide to go with that blue because it really pops off the white. So I decided to go with that blue again, and I do my backing of my cut files differently depending on what I'm backing it with, because the script runs in lines and I wanted to make sure it stayed in the lines. I've stuck the cut file to the paper and then I've cut round it. If I wasn't bothered about that, I would have probably drawn round the letters and then cut them out, left a little gap, cut them out then and stuck them on separately. So I do it differently depending on what I'm doing. I have decided though to turn this little heart here into a shaker pocket, so I've just used a little bit of plastic. I actually use the plastic that comes off of my Cricut cut mats, so the protective plastic that goes on the top. I keep all of those, and I use those to make shaker pockets because it's a nice thin acetate, so it works really quite well. So I'm just going to trim around the rest of these letters. Now the way I do it is I have my scissors just at a very slight angle, so I just tuck them under the edge of the white to cut, to make sure that there's no extra bits sticking out, especially that because I know this is going onto a white background, so any bits that are sticking out will be really, really obvious. And I do love those little scissors, so just some really fine scissors for fussy cutting around cut files are essential in my opinion. So I'm just going to cut around that bit of acetate now, which I put on the heart. And I'm going to fill it in just a second with some little teeny tiny silver stars. I check whether I've got some other kind of goldy coloured bits and pieces, but I decide that they're not quite right. Now the other paper that I used up at the top, not the blue, the leafy one, is what I'm cutting this heart out of to go behind my stars in my little shaker pocket. So I'm just going to put some stars there, as you can see in the middle. They're from Lucy's shop, Lucy's Little Bits, I think they're called. And so I've made that little shaker pocket there, and I'm now just going to stick the middles of those letters in. I always do like to put the middles of the letters in. I don't like them without, that's just a personal thing. So that's my cut file back, and I'm just marking with a pencil where it's going to fit on the page, because I'm going to use this ink blending brush to really lightly give a kind of a shadowed blue effect behind the cut file. Now it looks a mess. If you just look at it without the cut file in place, it looks an absolute mess, and it looks like I've got really dark bits of colour. So what I've tried to do is start my blending from somewhere that I know is going to be hidden, and then move outwards so that I get the lightest possible colour just popping out from behind that cut file. I have got, obviously I'm using the Tim Holtz ink blending brushes. I have got those makeup brush style ones as well, that are also like a blending brush. They put an awful lot more ink on, I find. I've just recently got these, so these are allowing me to have that kind of softer effect that I've been after for ages, and you can just see it popping out from behind those letters, and that's the effect I was looking for. So I'm really pleased with how that's worked out. So just keep putting it back and making sure that I've got enough colour kind of popping out. Now I'm just going to decide what to do with regards to backing my photographs. In and ahhing, but I'm going to go for the same two sheets that I've used up at the top again. But I'm going to do one of the photographs one way around and one the other. So the photographs are of my little pooch Bella. This is my little puppy. I call her my puppy. She's not a puppy anymore, but she's tiny, so I still call her a puppy. And it's the same photograph. I love doing this, printing the same photograph in both black and white and in colour. And I love that effect, the same photograph two ways on a layout. Now I realise at this point that I have messed up slightly, because I don't have enough of that leafy paper to back the second photograph. So I'm going to just have a rethink of how I'm going to do it. And what I end up doing is there's a corner missing off the backing of I think it's the black and white one. So I've just, instead of having the black and white one on the top, the black and white one's just going to get tucked underneath, and you'll never know that bit's missing. So I'm leaving this layout quite flat. I've done an awful lot of layouts recently that have had loads of dimension, and I just need my layouts to have a little bit less so I can get a couple more in the album. So I'm not putting any foam on these. But I am just going to have a play around now with the ephemera. The pieces of ephemera that I've chosen are kind of branches and fronds and things. Really, really pretty pieces. I do like that word moments. Not really going to fit. And I do like the snowflakes as well, but they were enormous and they just didn't seem to fit. So instead I decided to play around with these little chipboard pieces that were you could buy a set of them with the collection. So I've used all the kind of branchy frondy ones, and then there's also these little tags that say love on, and then also that little deer there that I've popped just at the bottom of the photograph, and I'm really, really pleased with how that's gone. Now I'm just going to attach this tag onto the layout. I'm going to stick the tag, the little wooden tag down, but I want to kind of attach it with a thread, so I'm going to play around now with popping that on. I pop it around the A, and then I think it ends up around the H, and then the next thing I do is just to stick down all the little bits of ephemera and to stick down my pictures as well. So while you just watch me getting on with that, I will just say again, if you like this cut file, it was or is a freebie with the latest newsletter. So if you've received the latest newsletter from Peartree Cut Files, Peartree Pages, you will have been sent the link to allow you to download this one. So if you do like getting freebies, please do make sure that you pop over to the website and sign up for our newsletter, because whenever I send a newsletter out, there's always a freebie attached to it, and this time it is this one. So just while I finish faffing about with the last couple of pieces, I'll just say thank you very, very much for joining me today and watching the video. Hope you like the layout. I'm really pleased with this one. I'm wanting to play around a little bit more with kind of the softer colours and the softer, prettier look, and I'm really pleased with how this turned out. And it's just it turned out, it was one of those ones that turned out exactly as I wanted it to. When I set off, so I'm really, really pleased. So if you just stay tuned now after I've added this last little bit on, you'll see lots of close-ups of this lovely page, and yeah, enjoy crafting, and I will see you again soon. Thanks ever so much for joining me. Bye for now.